I try to if it's something that I want and I know my price, I try to just give the competitive price. And the rationale with that, and which is also somewhat related to my thinking of not having best offers on eBay listings, is that like if I have a price, if I'm and I'm thinking, unless it's something I'm really desperate for and I won't fold on it, then like my price is my price. And I want to try to be like a little bit lower than what the dealer is willing to take. But at the same time, say with the conviction that I'm not going higher. Because most of the time I'm not, because that's where the juiciness of the margins are.
Well,
But
I have a question for you on that. Do
yeah,
you, when you're negotiating a card show deal, are you explaining why you are offering the offer that you're offering? Or
uh,
are you just saying the offer confidently?
it really
Or
depends. And that's fine. Yeah, no. So I guess three big pickups.
all right.
As um diehard fans of the show know, I love Bryce Harper's 661 rookie card, which is short printed in Series 2. And I love even more, way more, because I think it's undervalued, not financial advice, is the 661 autograph, which is exclusive to hobby boxes. And there are only about 30 copies each in Beckett and PSA's population report. I saw that at the New Jersey show in Secaucus. It was a dealer that I kind of know. I've never done a deal. I've never done a deal with this dealer, and I just knew based off what I paid for the previous one and what the non-autos go for. I was like, "This is my offer. Like, I'm giving this amount." And he's like, "Can you do $200 higher?" I'm like, "No, this is my amount." Didn't whip out my phone. Didn't check comps at all. I just knew what my offer was, and if he took it, great. If he doesn't, oh, no. And he took it, and it worked. Sometimes there's some more emotional aspects to it as well. Like if you have cash, you can count the money in front of the dealer and put it in front of him, and then you have him. Another deal. I started putting my money back in my wallet, and he's like, "No, let's just do the deal. We're $25 apart." I'm like, "Thank you. That's what I
Yeah.
thought."
That's dealers never be afraid to do the false. I'm about to walk away from the table. I've had a lot of success with that too. Like
I
I have
think,
cash. I'm not. This is what I could pay. I'm cool walking away from this.
yeah,
That's a good.
I think there's a balance towards a negotiation because it's like if you're just, I'm saying examples like tabler selling vendor selling the item at 750 and you're like I can do 500, and then he's like 650 and then you're like 600 and then the dealer's like 625. You're a little bit of a prick if you walk away at 625 considering that you are expressing interest and you both sides are trying to be amicable. But if I'm just like 600, he's like, "Can you do 650?" I'm like, "No, 600." And it really I think part of it is just the sales aspect of the price that you want to be in at. You're not gonna try to do the lower offer to even set it up. But I don't know. Negotiating is a lot of fun. I get a high off it. It strokes my ego a little bit, and I get cool cards in doing so. And hopefully, you want to save yourself a few bucks. I
Yeah.
know a lot of the influencers like to flip a coin or roll a dice or whatever for like the final 10% of a deal. Oh, I'm at 550. He's at 500. Should we flip it? So he does. No, I'm gonna
That's
go.
my least favorite bit
I'm
right
gonna get
now.
my choice every time.
That's
No,
my least favorite bit, dude. The fucking flip a coin for 10% influencer real thing is just
yeah.
I
It's
can't with
like,
that, man. I
no,
can't do it.
I'm gonna use my high intellect and cunning and spinach eating teeth like a man to say with conviction what my price is.
I had a good comp check story. So I usually
Okay.
don't go to a deal. Like if I'm buying a car at a car show, it's very unlikely that I'm gonna break out comps. Like I'm usually looking to only buy things that like maybe are PC super rare, PC stuff for cheap. Like cool stuff that isn't that expensive. So it's not really worth me like breaking out my phone, trying to nickel and dime. But I had a good story with it. So this, I was looking in this guy's value bin, and he had a couple cool Barry Bonds cards, and I was like, no, I'm looking to see if I can buy cool Barry Bonds. I'm always kind of looking to for some numbered stuff of his of like refractors, and there's a Stadium Club. I think it was one of a kind, is like an old Stadium Club parallel thing, um, and it was out of
Need
150.
Mitch on the pod to give us an education, to give me an education at least.
Yeah, I had to educate myself on it, but I was like, I don't know anything about this sort of late '90s serial numbered stuff. I'm just gonna look up comps real quick, see if there is any. He had it at 100 sticker, and then I saw one on eBay that sold at auction for $40. And I was like, all right, well, this is a cool card out of 150. I would do $40. Like if I would have bought that. So I go up to the table. I'm like, the next day, and I'm like, hey man, like I saw this card in your value bin yesterday. I looked it up last night. Saw one sold for 40. I got $40 cash right here. I thought it would be an easy deal. And he's like, I saw that comp. I know this card's rare. Like people probably just didn't see that auction. I'm sticking at 100. And I'm like, all right, man, like whatever. I
And
ended
on
up
the
I
oh,
ended
sorry.
up buying a card from him, the Pacific Gold Prism Barry Bonds from 2000, which Mitch was very jealous about. But it's out of like 400 or something, not 10, like modern
No,
day.
and I think there is legitimacy to that, and I understand that both as someone who's selling items and has a really, really brutal comp, and at the same time recognizes it as a buyer. Because really, if someone is just solely operating on the comps, on the sale item price, and he sees a $40 comp that's an auction that obviously you don't know the context of an auction, but you don't know if it's necessarily is a well-timed auction or a bad time auction. If it's an auction and it's $40 and you offer 30 and he takes it, that could just mean a card that you sell at 80 or you sell even higher.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a very specific instance, I guess, with my Anthony Davis Silver Prism PSA 9 that I bought at the Springfield, Massachusetts show. I want to say in early October. I think that was the first week of October. I could be wrong. I bought it for little story time. Bought it for $800. The last comp was 860 or so preseason, and no, I think off season. And my rationale that I was giving to the guys like, hey, do you want this card sold or not? I'm giving you 90% of value on a rare card. No one else is going to pay 90% of that here. And they're like, okay, that makes sense. Like they were very hot and cold, but it's like, if you want the card sold, I'm the buyer and no one's paying higher than me. So I took it. I cracked the PSA 9. Luck didn't go in my favor. It became a PSA 9 again. And in the meantime, there was an auction in season. I think when the Lakers were starting out 0-4, not a sports analysis podcast, but Lakers did start 0-4, and the card ended at $561. Very low. Lowering the population offhand, I know there's 64 or so PSA 9s and about 30 PSA 10s. So not even that many of them out there are on the market. I was priced at $1,000 at the time on eBay. I started getting a lot of offers on my slabs for $500 outright because I'm assuming my slabs you don't have communication, but assuming the rationale is
Can we this card is the 2012 Prism Silver Anthony
2012
Davis.
Prism Anthony Davis Silver.
Silver? Okay,
Rookie.
cool.
Silver, not base.
Yeah.
PSA 9. And I was getting a lot of offers and even jargon 400 or 500. And I'm like, I'm going to stick at 1,000. I would definitely take 800 since that's a really bad sale, that $500 sale. But Anthony Davis started heating up. I was able to get my full $1,000. I ended up getting, I think last week, my full $1,000 ask. I was definitively and clear cut lowest available, even for PSA 9, which ultimately was $450 above last comp. I didn't make ultimately my point is I didn't make much money on the card. I think after fees and after grading, I think I made $20. But if I were to stick with the rationality of last comp is last comp, and you're not looking at the specific attributes of the card, how many are on the market, don't sell the card. If you're trying to sell that Anthony Davis for $800 or Twitter on Instagram, respectfully, you're going to get clowned on, and you should foresee that knowing the demographic of buyers there. But anyone who wants to buy an Anthony Davis sees the $800 sale, sees the earlier sales, and can recognize the $500 sale as an outlier, is not going to be fully hesitant to buy it at the lowest available price if it's within reasonability.
Yeah, that was a good example of the like phenomenon that we're talking about, that I was talking about with that Barry Bonds card. Like the rarity, like auctions for rare cards that are not ideally timed are always going to be, kind of the floor, I would say, of the value of that card. Like it's probably not going to get much higher than the floor if it's not a well-timed auction for a rare card.
One of my biggest pickups recently was the Juan Soto Gatorade bath in a BGS 9.5, and I thought I got a good deal out of it at the time because I got it below the last PSA 9 sale. And then, breaking my heart, I saw that there was a Beckett 9.5 ending at auction on Thursday. So Wednesday, I guess, is Thanksgiving Eve, the 12:27 a.m. on the Thursday. So very, 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 very early on Thanksgiving Day, there's a Beckett 9.5 Juan Soto Gatorade bath ending at 12:27 a.m. And that ended also below the last PSA 9. And I think it's good that I know the context of my own auction, especially because when you're selling it, when you're speaking that to the prospective buyer, it conveys that you know your stuff and
Yeah.
that you're not getting hosed on either direction. But in terms of just even defending yourself, knowing the sales decisions and knowing, hey, I can confidently hold this. I shouldn't be worried about this sale because you know the context of it. It reminds me of one of my favorite early podcast cards, the throwback to the Jordan Noir National Treasures auto, which
I
I
forgot about
won an
that.
auction coming from Australia on New Year's Day at 3 a.m. And I was the new comp on that.
Yeah, that's set comps on auctions like that is always fun to do.
And
But
Card Ladder doesn't tell you context.
facts, card ladder. I feel like that's like an overarching theme, Max, of this podcast.